In 1901, sponge divers pulled a lump of corroded bronze off a shipwreck near a tiny Greek island. For almost a year, nobody looked at it twice. The wreck had statues, coins, jewellery, way more exciting things to catalogue. Then, in 1902, an archaeologist named Valerios Stias noticed something odd sticking out of the corrosion. A gear tooth. Could it be an ancient Greek machine? One that could predict eclipses before they happened? And did that knowledge just vanish for over 1,000 years? Researchers ended up naming it after the remote Greek island where it sank, Antikythera. So it became the Antikythera Mechanism. Not because of what it does, just because that's where it was found. So what actually is this thing? Not a clock, not a decoration. It's a computer, in the oldest, most literal sense of the word. You turn a hand crank to a specific date and it computes an output. Where the moon is, where the sun is, when the next eclipse is coming, even when the next Olympic Games are scheduled. Input a date, get a prediction. That's a computer, whether it's got a screen or 30 bronze gears. The design of this artifact is far more complicated than we'd expect the ancient Greeks to have been capable of. Over 30 interlocking gears, cut with more mechanical precision than anything else built for the next 1,400 years. There's one part that had to solve something genuinely tricky. The moon doesn't cross the sky at a constant speed. It speeds up and slows down because its orbit isn't a perfect circle. So whoever built this stacked a gear off-center, turning inside another gear. Mechanical subtraction, built-in metal, that speeds the pointer up and slows it down to match the real moon. That's not folklore dressed up as science. That's calculus, worked out in bronze, 2,000 years before calculus existed on paper. None of this came from thin air. Babylonian astronomers had spent centuries writing down eclipse patterns by hand. Cycles that repeat every 19 years, every 18 years. The Metonic cycle of 19 years kept the calendar in sync with the moon, and the Saros cycle of about 18 years is what let it predict eclipses. Two completely different traditions, one written down in numbers, one built from geometry, fused into a single object. A Roman writer named Cicero even claimed he'd seen a similar device, and that it was built by Archimedes. Which tells you this probably wasn't a one-off. It was a whole tradition of machines like this, most of which we've simply lost. Here's the uncomfortable part. We only have this one because it happened to sink in exactly the kind of cold, low-oxygen water that keeps bronze from dissolving completely. Every other machine like it was almost certainly melted down for scrap, or left to rust away in open air, or just forgotten. We're not looking at a unique invention. We're looking at the one that got lucky. For 50 years after it came out of the sea, nobody could explain what it was. Not because ancient people were incapable of this, clearly they weren't, but because the thread connecting them to us had simply been cut. Progress isn't a straight line climbing upward. It's a chain, and sometimes a link snaps, and nobody notices for 1,000 years. Somewhere, right now, we're probably standing on top of a gap exactly like this one. We just don't know it yet. If you like what we're doing here at Science for Starters, consider subscribing to our channel and check out our other videos. Got a topic you want us to dig into? Drop it in the comments. Happy learning!